Southern Utah is a region of the United States with unique geological formations that create some of the most incredible scenic viewpoints. This area is covered with excellent hiking trails and has 2 of the state's top national parks. If you're planning a trip around the western United States or Utah, then make sure to add this national park to your list. In the meantime, sit back, grab some snacks as we take a deep dive into one of the best national parks in Utah, known as Bryce Canyon. Bryce Canyon National Park is comprised of roughly 36,000 acres, or 56 square miles, and is part of Utah's Mighty 5 national parks. It's easy to see why Bryce Canyon is the second most popular park within the state. Over 2.5 million people flock here every year to behold the amazing landscape and rock formations known as hoodoos. These awesome calcium-rich mudstone creations took millions of years to form due to erosion. Although these hoodoo formations can be found several places throughout the globe, Bryce Canyon has the largest concentration in the world. Because the park's elevation is over 8,000 feet, Bryce Canyon receives more snowfall than any other national park within Utah. The name Bryce Canyon is a little deceiving, because the park is not actually a canyon, but a series of more than a dozen amphitheaters. Bryce Canyon is open year-round, but the best time to visit is May and June in the spring or September-October in the fall. Visit March or November if you don't want to deal with any crowds and you don't mind colder weather. Keep in mind that the free shuttle that runs around the park only operates during the warmer months, April through October. There really is no easy way to get to Bryce Canyon. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. You can obviously drive from wherever you're located, or fly closer, rent a car, and drive in. If you choose to fly in, the closest major airports are Las Vegas and Salt Lake City. Both are about a 4-hour drive. Another great option if you want to travel and see other sites would be to rent an RV and use that as your transportation and lodging for your trip. You can rent this exact RV through me. I'll leave a link to my Outdoorsy page in the description. Just outside of the park is the little town of Bryce. This small town caters to the park, but has everything you need as far as lodging, food, and supplies are concerned. Ruby's RV Park and Campground is a nice, clean place to stay just outside the park. Aside from the RV park, you can rent a small log cabin or a teepee that sleeps up to 8. The Best Western and Bryce View Lodge are really the only other 2 options if you want to stay in Bryce. There are 2 campgrounds and 1 lodge within the park, but make sure to book these well in advance because they fill up fast. The easiest way to get around the park is by car, but during peak season, parking can be hard to come by if you don't get there early enough. The free shuttle runs from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. during peak season, and you can catch the shuttle just outside the park across from Ruby's campground. The shuttle makes stops at most of the viewpoints up until Bryce Point, and comes around about every 20 minutes. RVs are only allowed in before 8 a.m. and after 8 p.m. when the shuttles aren't running. If you're staying at one of the 2 dry campgrounds within the park, then you can come and go as you please. My favorite way to explore the park is by e-bike. You can bring your own or rent them right in town. This way you don't have to wait on the shuttle to come around or worry about parking. ATV tours are also available right in town. Like I said earlier, the free shuttle only operates up to Bryce Point. If you have a car, you can drive the 17-mile scenic road to Rainbow Point. But the best area to explore, in my opinion, is the front of the park, from Sunrise Point to Bryce Point. Once you're in the park, there are basically 3 ways to explore. First, you can just walk around the top and visit the different viewpoints. Second option is to hike down into the hoodoos on one of the many marked hiking trails. And the third option is to venture down on horseback. If you can only do 1 hike in Bryce Canyon, I would definitely say the Navajo Loop and Wall Street is the way to go. The area known as Wall Street is named that because as you descend to the bottom, the hoodoos tower over you like you're on Wall Street in New York City. The Wall Street Trail branches off the Navajo Loop Trail right at the top, but connects back to the main trail at the bottom. So you will actually be walking back up the Navajo Trail. This is a really cool hike and isn't very hard or long. Queen's Garden is by far the easiest and shortest hike, at less than 1 mile and only 300 feet of elevation change. If you have time for a second hike or just want to do something a little longer or more challenging, then I would definitely recommend the Peekaboo Loop Trail. This is a 5-mile trail with a 3-mile loop. You will experience about 1,200 feet of elevation change, where the first mile is straight downhill to the loop, and the last mile is straight back up the same hill you started on. Everyone says the best way to hike the loop is clockwise, and that's what we did. The 3-mile loop is up and down the whole way, with spine-tingling views around every corner. About halfway through the 3-mile loop, at the bottom, the trail meets up with the Navajo Loop Trail, so you can go back up that way or over through Queen's Garden. As you may know, Utah can get pretty damn hot in the summer months, but most of the trails have plenty of shade so that you can stop and take a break, especially the closer to the bottom you are. All of the trails can be very slippery, no matter if they're wet or dry. When it's dry, the trail consists of a powdery dust with loose gravel, and it's very easy to slip and fall when you're on a slope. This obviously turns into a nasty mud when it's wet, so I would not try to hike during or after any rain. So how much time do you need in Bryce Canyon? Well, I would recommend at least 2 days. 3 if you want to do several of the most popular hikes. This way you're not rushed and you can take your time and enjoy the park. But if you're trying to squeeze in several parks, 2 full days is adequate, if the weather cooperates. Pair it with Zion for a nice week-long trip. You will need a little more time at Zion because it's a much bigger park. The combination 2 days in Bryce and 3 days in Zion would be perfect. It's not a bad idea to stop at the visitor center and pick up a quick history of the area and learn a little bit about what you're about to witness. I spent less than 10 minutes there, but I learned a lot in that short amount of time. If you're going to do more than just Bryce Canyon, I would recommend getting the America the Beautiful Pass for $80. This pass is valid for 12 months and you get into over 400 national parks across the country. If you're over age 62, then you can pick up this pass for $20, or splurge and spend $80 and get the pass that's good for life. If you're active duty or retired military, both you and your dependents get this pass for free. The normal price of admission is $35 per vehicle, $20 if you walk or bike in. Another place I want to mention that's just down the road from Bryce Canyon is an area called Red Canyon, and it's part of the Dixie National Forest. I never knew this place existed because it's overshadowed by Bryce Canyon, but I drove through it on Highway 12 on my way out of Bryce, and I will definitely schedule some time here the next time that we roll through. There are several hikes in the area that look pretty cool. Well, that's going to bring this look at Bryce Canyon to an end. Stay tuned for the next outrageous adventure. You never know where I'll end up next.